All right, so what we're going to do right now is we're going to quickly recreate our 391 demo using Ableton and CliffX and a nice detailed video. So first things what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the U of A Ableton package here that you should have downloaded. And I'm going to grab the Ableton template. I'm going to go for an 8-track template. And I'm looking at 8 tracks, 8 mono sends. Even though I might not use all the sends, it's just a good idea to have it. I'm going to open up that. Now you'll see when you open it, it opens up your auto follow and your snap window here, and I'm just going to rearrange these to my liking over here. And then, just because I'm working in a template, I'm going to do a file save as. I'm going to create a new one on the desktop, just so I have a unique one away from the template. I'm going to call it Matt391 demo. Save, great. Always get in a habit when you do save to do a collect all and save. I'll talk a bit about that once we get some content in here. First things first, I'm going to start to lay out the order of this all here. See, once I save this again, it rearrange these windows. Q1 is the record player starting music. Okay. Q2 is a phone ringing. Q3, we need to be the pickup of phone. Q4 is an X fade to hi-fi full music, where the music expands around the room. Q5 is going to fade out music / fade in rain. Q6 is going to fade out the rain. So we have 6 simple cues that we're going to build here. So first things first, I'm going to actually just quickly go through our sends here. So we have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, so that's their 8 sends. And we can find the sends over here if we press R for return. And they're labeled with their numbers here. And for our example here, I'm going to say that I'm going to call A, just because of the way I would have had it patched based off of the inputs and outputs. This is a physical thing that we will go through in the SPS ourselves here. I'm going to call this Northwest, so these will be the 4 speakers in the air. We have Northwest, Northeast, Southeast, and Southwest. E, I'm going to have it as the special, but this is the one that I have right by the turntable, so I'm not going to say turntable, so it's going to sound like it's coming from a little record player. F is a second special that we're going to hide right by the little rotary phone. And then G and H we're actually not using, but we'll just keep them there just in case we need to expand. So I can hide the returns here and then just remember my rooms here, the Northwest, Northeast, Southeast, Southwest. E is turntable, F is phone, and that kind of lines up really nice. Okay, so first things first, we want the record player to start. So I'm going to go to my content. I have it all in a nice little folder on my desktop here. And we're going to take this little song here, and I'm going to pop it in right here. Now, if you've gone through the little PDF that came with the downloadables, you'll find a particular setting in this area here. If you can match these settings here, what it does is it loads the clip down here unwarped, so that way we can turn on warp and not have any annoying little warp markers. Okay, so the music's in there, but we also have a few other sounds here. We have record player needle at the end of a thing, and I think this is a, I'm just going to listen to this really quick. That should start it, so we'll have that start at the same time, and then we'll also have the static start at the same time. So that would be this guy right here. So let's just have a listen to all 3 of these together. We're not hearing anything right now because we don't have this routed or anything, but let's start routing it to the turntable. It's not bad. We kind of set the levels how we like them. I'm also going to do a high pass, also known as a low cut. the sound just a little tinier. Maybe limit the frequency a bit more. That's pretty good. Now you'll notice something very important about this record player static. Because we have this section here and then we have a second section here, we probably want to focus on this section here. So let's turn on warp. And then I can set up a loop. You can see right now it's going to play and loop the whole thing. But I want to loop just this section here. And you can see how this is actually reacting to the lines. It snaps the lines. If I press Command 4, I get nice dotted lines up and down as opposed to solid. And I can move this anywhere I want. So I'm going to move it so it kind of lines up somewhere nice. Now this guy, basically when it's playing through, it'll come back to the next loop point now. It should all be good. This one can play out, that's all good. This one can kind of play out, that's not bad. We don't need to loop any of those two. So now when I launch Q1, remember to launch a Q, we select the Q and we press enter, and it queues up the next Q. That's all good. So I like all the settings that we got here. I like them all. Now what I want to do is I want to take a snapshot. So if I have my snapshot icon open here, let's say that I don't and it's missing, you can double click on the Cliffix snap, the red thing here, and press open snap window, and it's going to show it here. So let's select Q1 anywhere in the first scene here. I want this to snap on a 0 count. So I'm going to keep this as 0, make sure it says mix plus, and then press snap. And it took a snapshot of that. And what it did is it actually took a snapshot of the setting that we dialed and then these send settings, okay? So our next cue is the phone ringing, which is this right here. Great. Let's throw that on track 4. Once again, we can see the frequency of the rings here, and we don't know how long it should ring for. So just to be safe, let's turn on warp so that we can use loop, because you can't use loop unless you have warp on. Let's set up a loop here, and I'm just zooming in on it. Nice little zoom tool here. Zoom with your hand over top of it. Command 4 to get rid of the solid. Let's start the loop right there and let the first ring happen. We're going to let that happen right there. So now just to listen to this phone ring, and I'm going to launch scene Q2 here. Nothing will happen on these two guys here. Nothing will happen on these 3 here because we have to stop, but I'm just going to test this just for a level. And we want it to come out of F. And that's not bad. That's not bad at all. So what I want to do is I want to snap this level into the next Q. To Q2. It's good at a time of 0 is good because it'll just snap up. That's all good. So then when we go back to Q1 and we stand by for Q1, we go. Actually, I'm hearing something I want to change a bit in here. Let's put some negative time at the beginning of this Q. Right now we can see it starts at 1, which corresponds to this 1. Put a negative 1 there. And you can zoom in. And you can see that there's actually no waveform here, but it is a negative time. So it'll actually insert silence in front of it, so we'll hear the static drop. So that's not bad. So now I'm standing by for Q2. You'll notice that when I launch Q2, it's going to play the phone, but it's going to stop all the music. So what I'm going to actually do here is I'm going to select all 3 of these little slots here, because we can see we have the square, which means stop. If you right click, you can go remove stop button, or you can see there's a key command, Command E. And this one here, I'm just going to press Command E and it goes away. So now when we launch Q1, then we have the phone ringing. We know Q3 is the phone pickup. So we're also going to need the music and the record static to maintain. So let's also remove all three of those. So they'll play through. Now you'll remember the quick little trick that we did where we copied and pasted the clip. And we're going to take a non-loop. We're going to do just of this last little ring here. So it's going to sound way more natural than just stopping the clip. So it'll sound like that. Okay, and we probably don't need to do a snap there because we've already told it in the cue ahead to be up on F. Let's just hear that in context here. Q1, Q2, Q3. Now for Q4, we want to fade all the music to high 5 full. Now there's two ways we could do this. We could take a snapshot of a new setting that routes this to all four of the big speakers, northwest, northeast, southeast, and southwest, so that it grows out of the machine. But we could also do it on another track. What I'm going to do now is, because we did at negative time here, I'm going to copy this clip and play it here, so that you'll notice when I launch Q1 that this is playing here, but we're hearing it from here. We're not hearing it through here because we haven't routed it anywhere yet. And on the EQ on this track, it's still full range. It's still hi-fi. It's not lo-fi like this where we've bandpassed it to sound lo-fi. I'm going to remove some E-stops. Now, an important thing of starting it together in the same clip, or the same scene, sorry, with the same starting point, is that when they play, they're actually in sync. If you watch this, and this track, it's in sync. So now if I start to dial this up, we start to hear a few more, the hi-fi-ness come out of it. So in Q4, what I want to do is bring these up to full. Let's take a snapshot, and let's do that over about a 7 count. So because I'm selected in 4, I put a 7 count. Snap. Great. Then we want to fade out the music and fade in some rain. So let's put our rain in really quick. We have some rain right here. Do we have enough cue to cover the sequence? We might. 2.5 minutes, that's pretty good. 2:45. I think that'll work. We don't need to loop this or anything. But again, in the same vein, it's always better to just kind of work ahead and turn on warp and then start to get a loop point going, because that means you're just kind of prepared, you're set, in case it takes longer or in case you want to maintain it through a scene. So I'm going to actually use a loop point like here. I can see there's a little bit of a blip there. You can see that the wave is fatter and it gets thinner. I'm going to actually use the thin part to loop and let it play through the fat part. We'll loop that section, and that's pretty good. So let's just hear this rain. We want the rain out of all 4 speakers as well. I'm going to have it quieter. And then I'm also going to, and we get to the effects again by double clicking on the track. I'm going to roll off the high end, just so it sounds like it's coming through the roof. So EQ, no EQ. And this is what I want right here. Okay. I'm just going to re-snap this look here, because I have it where I want to on this track. But then I'm also cheating the rain content to preset the EQ and this at a time. So you'll notice that if we were in the state of 2, we've lost the routing for the rain, and we've lost the nice EQ setting we've done. But when we launch 4, which would actually fade the music, although we haven't launched this cue, it presets the EQ and the sends in this at the same time it's fading this up. That way, when we launch Q5, we can fade out the music. And what I'm going to do, instead of picking 4 parameters here to fade this out, I'm going to move 1, which is the fader, because the sends are post fade. So if we fade out the fader, it in turn fades out these. And let's do that fade out over about a 12 count. I just snapped that. I was in the right scene for that. Remove the e-stops on those so they still play. Let's just launch this really quick. It's pretty nice. Then on our last cue, we're going to fade out the rain. So I'm going to take the e-stop out from below the rain so it can do an action after this. Fade out the rain. And then let's snap that as a 15 count. Okay, great. While I was doing this, I decided that I wanted to insert a cue, a 4.5, because I want the music to do something else while it gets to full. So I'm going to select 4, go to Create, Insert Scene, and you'll notice that it actually kind of copies the title, but it inserts an empty scene below where we were selected. So let's rename this cue 4.5. We're going to start to verb out the full range music. So I'm just going to launch 4 just to get in a state of 4. And we can see it's almost done. And it's complete. So now all the settings are there. What I want to do is I want 4.5 to launch, and I want it to bring up some verb on the music. And I want it to do that over about a, let's do a 7 count again, that's good. But the trick is, we know that when I launch 4, it's going to do 4 and a 7 count, because we can see I have 4 selected here. 4 is 7 count. 0 count for 1, 0 count for 2. So I'm just going to take these hyphens out because it confuses the program. There we go. So what I want, when I launch 4, it's going to take 7 seconds to fade the music to full. I want it to wait 2 seconds after that, so a total of 9 seconds. And then I want it to auto follow to 4.5 to start verbing this out. So in 4, I'm going to double click in the auto follow. And if you double click here, you'll see the little thing. You can see the text format you need to do this. AF, capital AF, space, and then your time in seconds. Right? So I want a 9-second wait before it auto follows. So I'm going to go AF 9, capital A, capital F, space 9. So now if we're in a state of this, and then the pickup. When I launch 4 here, watch the auto follow meter here, and then watch what it does to here. 4 go. Oh, sorry. 4 go. And we should start to hear it verb out. And I've noticed there's some other things I want to do in 4. So we are currently sitting in a, 4.5. We're currently sitting in a state of it. I want the music out of the record player to kind of come down, but the static, especially, this one will be done by now. I want this one to get super reverbed out. And chorusy. So I'm going to snap that. Let's listen to that one more time. And there we go, we've completed our mini little sound design demo. So before I stop this, what we've done is we've brought a lot of little content from this folder into this new file that we've made. Very, very important that we do a file, collect all and save. And it's going to pack all of that content for us, and it kind of consolidates it. And you'll notice now that I've saved it here, because I saved it to my desktop, that this actually has all of those samples that we imported there because we collected all and saved. They're all in this one little self-contained folder here. So now you can put this on your jump drive and take this to the SPS computer to play.